Good morning, students of Manarat Salim Language School. Students of the first prep, second, third. Today we will start with Unit 2, which talks about force, and we will start with the first lesson, which talks about the fundamental forces in nature. What are the forces that we found in nature? We have many forces, but we can't see this force. We can feel its effect, like number 1, the lightning and thunder, or the movement of the wind, or the gravitational force which attracts objects towards the Earth's center, or the attraction force of magnet to iron. This is the forces that we found in nature. There are also forces that caused by technological applications, like generating electricity or fire weapons. Good morning, students of Manarat Salim Language School. Let's start with the fundamental forces that we found in nature. We have 3 main fundamental forces that we found in nature. The first one, or the first force, is the gravitational force. The first one who talks or who discovered that the earth got a gravitational force was Newton. He discovered that each object on the earth is attracted toward the earth's center, and we said that this force is called weight, or the object weight. So the weight of any object is the ability of earth to attract this object to its center. Can we calculate the weight of any object? Yes, we can. How? By multiplying the mass of this object, which is measured in kilogram, times the Earth's acceleration gravity, which is a constant value, and it's approximately equal 9.8 or 10 meters per second square. So the weight, which is symbolized by W, equal mass of the object times Earth's acceleration and gravity, which is symbolized by G. Number 2, or the second force that we found in nature, is the electromagnetic force. What's the meaning of electromagnetic force? From its name, it consists of 2 parts. Electro, which comes from the electricity or the electric energy, and magnetic, which comes from magnetic energy. So it means there is a relation between electricity and magnetism, and we say that each electric current that moves in a wire has a magnetic effect, and we use this idea to make many applications, like the electric generator or the dynamo, which change the mechanical energy or the kinetic energy to get electric energy, and we use it in many places. Also, we have electric motor. The electric motor is found in 99% of our appliances today, and it takes the electric energy and gives us mechanical energy. The third type of forces that we found in nature is the nuclear energy, and we have 2 types of nuclear energy. Weak nuclear force, that is used in making medicine, scientific research, and industry, and we have strong nuclear force which is used in producing electricity or military purposes, and also Egypt seeks to use this nuclear energy to produce electricity. That was the first lesson in Unit 2. Let's start with the second lesson, which talks about the combined force to motion. When an object is moved, we got forces from this motion, and these forces are: number one, the forces that originated due to motion. When we move, or when an object moves, we got two different forces, which are inertia and friction force. And there are also forces that cause motion, which are the forces that is inside the living systems. Let's start with the first type, the forces originated due to motion. The first force which originates due to motion is inertia. What is inertia? Inertia means when an object is at a certain state, which means it's at rest or at motion, it resists the change of its state. It needs, or it wants to keep its state. If it is at rest, it wants to stay at rest. If it is at motion, it wants to stay at the same motion in a straight line with the same speed. When this object is forced to change its state, it resists this force, so it gives a reaction. This reaction is called inertia. When we have a fan, and this fan is working or moving, and we shut it down, the fan keeps moving for a certain minutes or for a short time. Why? Because this fan resists the change you give it or you force it to do it. So it's the same. And as we see in this picture, when someone is moving with his car and suddenly he presses the brakes to stop the car, so he moves down, he moves forward. Why? Because his body resists the sudden change in his state. The second force due to motion is the friction force. When the friction force appears when we have two objects touching each other, like the tires of this box and the moving box. The boy trying to push this box above the floor, and the tires of the box are moving above the floor, and there is a friction force between these tires and the ground. This friction force resists the movement of this box in the opposite direction. So the friction force is a resistance that originated between this object and the medium he's touching. He's touching the ground, so he got friction from the ground. The second, or let's say, what are the benefits of this friction force? When we are moving on the ground, our feet have a friction force with the ground. This friction force prevents our feet from slipping. And when a car is moving on the ground, there is a friction force between the car tires and the ground. This friction force helps to stop the car when we want to do that, or start moving the car, or control the car direction if you want to turn right or turning left. It also helps us in turning matches. There is friction force between the box of the match and the matches. Does this friction force has harness like it has many benefits? Yes. If we have a factory and we have machines inside it, these machines are made of iron, and when these machines start to work, there is a friction force due to the movement of these machines, and this friction force produces heat, So we lose a great part of the mechanical energy, of the kinetic energy of these machines in form of heat. This heat also causes damage for the internal parts of machines, so we will lose money. So to decrease this friction force between the parts of machines, we have to oil or lubricate these machines from time to time to decrease the effect of friction force. The second type of forces is the forces inside the living system. This force is called biological forces. Why? Because this forces is inside the living systems, which enables the living organisms to do many biological operations, like number one, the heart muscle. The heart muscle contract and relax. Why? To help or to pump the blood to all body parts. So this part is very important. What else? The movement of liquids. If we have a liquid and there is different concentration of water inside it, so the water will move from the higher concentration to lower concentration, or the water will move from the low concentration of salt to high concentration of salt, and this is called osmosis feature. The first force which originates due to motion is inertia. What is inertia? Inertia means when an object is at a certain state, which means it's at rest or at motion, it resists the change of its state. It needs or it wants to keep its state. If it is at rest, it wants to stay at rest. If it is at motion, it wants to stay at the same motion in a straight line with the same speed. When this object is forced to change its state, it resists. Lesson 3 is talking about motion. What the meaning of motion? Motion means if we have an object and this object changes its position with time passes, we said that this object made a motion. So motion means changing of object position with time passes. When an object moves, it got a speed. What the meaning of speed? Speed means the distance covered by this object in unit time. Like this object covers 5 meters in 1 second, so the speed of this object is 5 meters per second. This car is moving by 80 kilometers per 1 hour, so the speed of this car is 80 kilometers per hour. So the measuring unit of speed is meter per second for small objects or for slow objects, and kilometer per hour for faster ones. Relative motion. What is the meaning of relative motion? Relative means we compare between object motion to another object motion. As we have two cars, the blue one and the yellow one, we say that the blue car is faster than the yellow car. So we compare between their motions. This is called relative motion, motion of an object relative to another object. Change in object position or direction as time passes regarding to another object. We have to compare between this object motion and another object motion. So we say it's relative to moving of another object. Or the gravitational force which attracts objects toward the Earth's center, or the attraction force of magnet to iron. This is the forces that we found in nature. There are also forces that caused by technological applications like generating electricity or fire weapons. The second type of motion is called periodic motion. What's the meaning of periodic motion? Periodic means motion that repeated. Not only repetition, but it also repeated in equal periods of time, like the movement of the earth around the sun. The earth repeat its motion around the sun every 1 year. So this is called periodic motion because it repeated in equal periods of time. Each time the earth takes 1 year to complete one rotation or revolution around the sun. Also the movement of the moon around the earth is called also periodic motion because it's a repetitional motion and it takes the same period of time every time. Third type is the pendulum as shown in the picture in front of you. This pendulum starts to move right and left around its fixed point in the middle, and in each time it takes the same period, so it's called periodic motion. Second wave motion is the wave motion. Before we start with the meaning of wave motion, what's the meaning of wave? When I say wave, what is the wave? When I'm talking now, I produce sound energy. Did you see the sound energy? No, but you feel it, you hear it. So this energy cannot be seen, but we feel the effect of this energy. So the wave motion means the movement of energy that we can't see but we feel its effect. So the energy is moving, yes, and its motion is called wave motion. And we have two types of wave motion. The first way of wave motion is called mechanical waves. What is the mechanical wave? This means that we have waves that is independent, which means it needs someone or it needs a medium to carry it from the source to the receivers. Like if we don't have air, we can't hear ourselves or we can't hear each other. Why? Because sound energy is a mechanical wave that needs a medium to carry it from its source to the receivers. So mechanical energy or mechanical waves are the waves that need medium to propagate like sound. Also the wave motion of the water. If we drop something inside the water, we observe circles and we say this is called water motion or water wave. It's also a mechanical wave because it needs the water medium to carry the circles as we see it. The second type of wave is electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetic wave means dependent wave. It's dependent on itself. It don't need medium to transfer light. Heat and light which comes from the sun it travels through the space and there is no medium in the space, but the heat and light reaches the earth. So heat and light don't need this medium to transfer. Even there is a medium or no, it will transfer. So the electromagnetic waves are the waves that don't need any medium to transfer. What are the applications of mechanical waves? Applications of mechanical wave is the ultrasonic wave, which is used in diagnosis of some disease, and we got mechanical waves from the musical instruments like violin. We also get sound waves or mechanical waves from the amplifiers. What are the applications of electromagnetic waves? Electromagnetic waves are used in many fields. Like the first type of electromagnetic waves is the ultraviolet rays, which is used to sterilize the sets that used in surgical operation rooms. Number two, the X-rays, which is used in photographing bones to detect the sites of bone fractures. It also used to examining metals or mineral rows in industry to show any error inside it, any pores, any cracks. It also used to study the inner structure of the mineral crystals. Number three, gamma rays. The gamma rays have a very great role in medical purposes, as it's used as a treatment and it's used in discovering some swellings like tumor. Number four, the visible light that we can see. It's used in photographing cameras, it's used in television cameras, it's used in data show. Number five is the infrared rays, which is used in night vision systems, that is used for military forces. It's also used for remote sensing instrument to photographing the Earth's surface using the satellite. It has also a thermal effect, so it's used in cooking food. This is the end of Unit 2. I wish that you studied well, and wait me for Unit 3 inshallah in the next video, and thank you.